Hi, my name is Ashley Bugby, and this is my Module 1 for EDL 952. To tell you a little bit about myself professionally, I started my career as an ag ed teacher, and I was the ag ed teacher in Oxford Junior Senior High School for 9 years. I left and was a student success coordinator, which was a position that I did all of the CTE pathways. I had about 30 students that did internships their senior year, and several other responsibilities at that point. And I came back to Oxford USD 358 as the assistant principal, which is a pre-K through 12 position, and I just finished up my second year of that. So I've been in education for 13 years total. To tell you a little bit about myself personally, I have a 14-month-old son, Gus, and am married to Jay, and I am very busy this summer running around with Gus, which is wonderful, but then I also am currently hiding in my parents' house because there's no way to record one of these with him awake, even asleep, to be honest with you. To tell you about Oxford, where I work, Oxford has just right around 1,000 people. The student population, we have 199 in our elementary, about 120 in our junior senior high school, and we actually have a virtual school of about 45. We sit around 48 licensed staff and about 36 support staff. On the left-hand side, I put community because I feel like this is a word that somebody who we interviewed, it was last year for a position at Oxford, had, first of all, the best question I've ever had somebody ask, at the end of the interview. What questions do you have for us? Why do you like to work here? Why do you enjoy being here? And I think community was the word that just was resounding. We have a wonderful community that we are a part of, but the school itself, the students, the faculty, and the parents are a wonderful community themselves. So I think looking through this module and some of these resources, that word to me kept coming up of what I think that Oxford does so well. To tell you a little bit about some of my personal professional goals that I have, short term, I would really like to obtain my district level endorsement, and I never thought I would get a doctorate in education, but as I pursued my master's and then the district and building level endorsements, it's kind of become my path now. So I would definitely like to be accepted into a doctorate program for education. And following along that line, my long-term goals, I would like to become a building level principal and hopefully move on to get my doctorate, and then as well as become a superintendent somewhere along the line. To reflect personally on why I became a teacher, I have always enjoyed serving others. I've been a part of 4-H and FFA almost my entire life. I grew up on a farm, and I've had a lot of educators in my family as well. I actually went into college with the intention of becoming a 4-H agent, but the major that I selected, ag ed, was that I had to spend a semester student teaching. And so when I did that, I realized my passion was probably more in a classroom, in that setting, being able to work with students and hopefully help them become better human beings. And I think that's also why I want to become a district leader. This picture that is up there, I got the opportunity to take our FFA kids as a sponsor to the FFA convention, the state convention in Manhattan this year, and that is a picture of several of them holding my son because he got to go with us. And though I'm not in the classroom anymore, I think that becoming a district leader, I want to be able to support students and staff on a different level. And this is just another example of something that makes me so happy. They are wonderful individuals, and if I can help them in any way that I can, I want to do that. So to tell you a little bit more about Module 1, the resource summary that I had, I put it into some big overall ideas. One of the main ideas was establishing common beliefs, and it's really important that you do this intentionally, that you set goals, and that you work in a collaborative group to make a strong, consistent message. And with that collaboration, hopefully that's upheld by everybody. It's really important that you're not getting mixed messages out there. It's important that everybody has buy-in to what you're doing. So establishing common beliefs is really something that's important across education in general. The next one, I feel like this is something that Oxford is really good at, is connection and communication. So being able to create a supportive community in general, make sure and include families and teachers and other people that work on your staff need to feel like they're a part of a community. And it's important that you encourage those people to also be a part of extracurricular activities, not necessarily sports, but get involved in the community as well. Creating an inclusive environment is also really important, but with that, you need to define what inclusion is. You need to have positive behavior interventions and make sure that is a school-wide initiative. And you need to become culturally responsive. So understanding somebody's background and why they do something is an important way to meet them where they're at. Also, universal design, make sure that everybody can be everywhere and participate in as many things as possible. And part of that is using evidence-based instruction in math and reading, making activity-based learning that everybody can be a part of, not just paper and pencil and, make it the easy class. And then make sure that you have an implementation strategy that's specific and meets concrete targets that you have. Thinking about my district culture, I kind of split it into I feel like we excel at this and then we need work. So again, I bring in that word community. I have seen our students just embrace students that I believe would have not succeeded in other districts, especially some bigger districts that are close to us just because of resources alone. They just pull in these new students and students that may have a difficult background or be a little bit different. I am always blown away at what those students do for others. And our teachers and staff and community as well fall right into there. Collaboration, I believe that our teachers collaborate. Even in the hallway, it's never gossipy about a student. It's always, I don't know how many times I'll walk into a classroom and they'll be, what have you done to help make this work for this student? We do a ton of professional development and training. We use evidence-based strategies, and then we are continuously going back to them. It's not just one time for 1 hour. It's been ongoing for several years now with some of the strategies that we've put in to make sure that we're meeting student needs, everybody's needs. And I think we do a great job of universal design. I don't know that we're very good about it intentionally yet, thinking of it as universal design, but I believe that our teachers and staff just have done that. It's kind of inherent to them. I think we do need to be more intentional about it. If I'm looking at what we should work on, I think that we need to work on explicit instruction in the secondary school. Our elementary does a wonderful job of explicit instruction with their students, but unfortunately I feel like sometimes you get to the secondary level and people just think students should know. They should, and I've heard that come out of faculty's mouth, and I can't help, especially in today's world, no, they may not know, and they may need to be reminded, and they're adolescents. So I think we need to work on explicit instruction for the secondary school. Cultural responsiveness and biases. I think it's important for teachers, even though we're very welcoming, and I don't know that any of them have strong biases, but we all have them without knowing it. I think we do need to take a look at being our cultural responsiveness as a whole to really make sure that we're addressing issues that might be there. And we absolutely need to work on our mission and vision and make sure that they're global. We redid them back when I was teaching at Oxford originally, so I think that was probably 6 or 7 years ago, and it's there. I don't know that anybody could recite it. I definitely think we need to go back and be more purposeful with creating a new mission and vision, and following along the lines of making everything inclusive too. I actually had to stop my recording and rearrange this slide because I realized when I was talking about it, I had just put this list over here and just typed it out as I was thinking, and I needed to move care of students to the top because our staff and other students have so much care and kindness for everybody around them, and that goes out into the community as well. And I think because of that, all of our decisions and the things that we do are student driven. And I have seen our staff members break their backs to meet the needs of students, almost take students into their home because they want the best for them and they want them to succeed of life. And I think that we just have this underlying thread that goes through everything. And that's not necessarily the case everywhere else. And right above here, welcoming and supportive environment. That has been a continuous thing, especially new families that come into the district. I don't think our families that have been in our district throughout their education experience understand, but multiple times every year that I've worked there, new families say, "You help my students so much. They became themselves again, or they're succeeding," and they just have a willingness to welcome people in and attempt, one of the articles said something like, for new students, bring them in, walk them around the school, invite them specifically. And we've done that. A new student that we had, that this was kind of the last ditch effort to get him to graduate high school. His parents brought him in and he had high levels of anxiety just coming on campus, so he came couple days before the other students, and we walked him from class to class at least 6 times before he felt comfortable. And we've continued the year like that with him, just kind of showing him this is what's going to happen, these are the kind of things that happen, and he has completely blossomed. And the students and staff have no idea what they've done for him. They never questioned him coming in. They helped him, they understood his needs and if he needed a break, and he has just, I tell them all the time, like, you guys don't even know the success story that you've done. So I think those two, even though we might need to work on something, cultivating those two things is really vital and important, because if you don't feel welcome somewhere, you're not going to feel about advocating for yourself or doing any of those other kinds of things. So our district is also fantastic at collaboration. We spend time doing that. We communicate really well, although I do believe that communication can always be changed and always be fixed, and always be working on how to communicate best with each individual student, staff, and family. And our faculty is absolutely willing to try new strategies all the time to meet student needs. And how does our district advocate for an inclusive environment? Teachers and students actively advocate for themselves and others, and I think that is because of the welcoming, supportive, and safe environment that we make. Sometimes it may take a while for students to be comfortable doing that, but there's almost every student, I feel like, has somebody they can go to advocate for themselves. We use evidence-based strategies and practices, and we have consistent and collaborative review of those practices to make sure that we're meeting student needs. So it's an ongoing process. We pursue continuous professional development and training, and make sure that our Board of Education spends money doing that to make it high quality, and then it's ongoing and continuous. We connect with families. If I'm going to advocate for a student, I always reach out to a family. Again, something that we could do better, though, 100%. And vice versa, I feel like our families are pretty open to contacting us and letting us know when they need something, or when, something can be addressed with their student. We try to communicate our successes, so our KISA process has really helped us focus on some of the strategies and goals that we want to meet, and we've been pretty successful at advocating for the resources we need for that, and then the successes we've had on the other side of that. Who is going to support us in these emerging trends? Again, we've got a supportive environment. We have a Board of Education who understands what's going on. A lot of them have students and grandkids in our district, so they are very supportive and try to look at everything in a big picture. And the support for that really comes from that district level leadership, advocating for what is needed resource-wise to our Board of Education and community, and then that really trickles down through the school as well. And finally, the correlation for my assignment, I believe that my assignment meets this 3.1 because I was able to use resources and evaluate exactly what an inclusive environment is, how my district does and does not meet that currently, and how we already have a pretty supportive and inclusive environment. Now, relevant wise, I do think that was really relevant to my learning specifically because even though I understand what an inclusive environment is, and I believe that my district does a pretty good job of it, we are not intentional about it. So I believe that we need to become more intentional about it. That way we can ensure that we're not missing things and maybe certain things aren't slipping through the cracks that we could do to help all of our students. And I think that is how that will also influence my future as a district leader, is to make sure that we have a common intentional set of goals and defining what our culture and climate is and what inclusive is, and then working collaboratively to figure out how we maintain that supportive environment where students and staff and families feel like they can advocate for themselves as well. And there are my resources. Thank you.